War Robots Frontiers released earlier this month. Totally missed the game. I'm a huge fan of mech games, so I installed it and tried it out. This is a free-to-play game, and it might be a bit pay-to-win, but we'll get back to that later. Let's break down the game first. In this game you pilot huge mechs that are very slow, very impactful, and I really don't mind having some weight to the mechs in games like this. It really makes them feel large. In this game, however, it feels a bit off, like you're moving in slow motion at times. You can do kind of agile movements in the game, but the animations to these agile movements feels like they're played in slow motion. When you jump, for example, you fall super slowly. Same with the dash sideways. It starts off good, but the second half of the animation feels very slow. The game overall is a PvP game only, 6v6 battles, and the game is available on PC, PlayStation and Xbox. When you start up the game for the first time, you have a tutorial that takes you through the basics. Then you have 3 bot matches before getting to play with and against other human opponents. The game has a few game modes. You have deathmatch, capture points and elimination. Nothing crazy here, and I guess it's fine, but it's also a bit boring to only have the most basic types of game modes. Maybe a co-op mode would have been nice, but you also don't want to stretch your development too thin. I do like the overall feel of the game. It plays well. Yes, the mechs are big and slow, but you have dash and you can jump. You have a zoom function as well. The maps aren't too big. If you die, you aren't too far from getting back into combat again. There is some minor destruction to the environment, and the maps do have plenty of cover, which helps with close quarter builds. I also like the overall look of the game. The mechs are very detailed, and the environments are pretty cool. Sure, a bit too much grey, but that's kind of the nature of these games. An odd thing about combat is how damage works. Each mech has a shield, and when it's depleted from taking damage, you can damage the mech's actual parts. The shoulder, the torso, the legs, they all have a damage meter, but if any of them gets destroyed, the whole mech gets destroyed. I would have liked if the right shoulder, for example, get damaged, that you can't use the weapon you have in that arm. Or if a leg get damaged, you move more slowly, and then the mech has an overall health meter instead. Now the tactic becomes start shooting at one part of the mech, and don't stop until it's dead. You can't really hide the parts either. Like sure, if the right leg gets damaged, you could turn so that the left leg is in front, kind of hiding the right leg. But in general, you kind of want to be on the move. But at the top tier of gaming, it might be a strategy. I just think the damage portion of the game is a weird design decision. I would rather see that the damage on a mech has an impact on that mech before it gets killed. I do like the emphasis on customization in the game. There seems to be a lot of parts and frames to use, and you need several mechs because when you die in a match, the mech you used goes on cooldown for about a minute and a half. So if you want to get back into the action, you have to use another mech. Into a match you can bring with you 5 mechs, and then you also have a Titan, which is the ultimate war mech. And to use a Titan, you have to get points during a match in order to spawn it. Each mech also has its own abilities, and these abilities come from the parts you choose. So this adds a bit more depth to the building, and some abilities are obviously better in combination with certain weapons, but you can create some interesting variations with this. The game does a relatively good job of giving you all the stats when building a mech. I would have liked a bit more info about the parts' characteristics, but you have a test range so you can easily try out your creation. Parts can also be leveled up, increasing their overall stats. And here's where one of the game's currencies come into play, and also where the pay-to-win aspect of the game starts, as you can get these currencies with money. Outside of a match, you have an account level, you have daily and weekly quests for some currencies and other rewards. To me, these are very basic and very boring and are just here to get you to play every day. And I can't really see the game thriving in the long run, and there are several factors that lead me to this. The game is free to play, so they do have to make money somehow. And they have a battle pass. It costs $10. Fine, I would expect nothing else from a free-to-play game. But then you can take a look at the shop and you'll see that most things cost a premium currency, the second currency in the game. And these can obviously only be bought with cash. And to get access to better parts and most of the parts and already finished mechs, you need the premium currency. The third currency in the game is gold, and you get some gold from playing the game, also from the daily and weekly quests. With the gold you can also buy parts, but only from the daily deal, and these are 6 random parts, and they cost quite a lot. The whole game is set up for you to buy the premium currency to gain new parts and mechs in the shop. I would have much rather see a system where all parts were available, you just have to grind for a currency to buy those parts, or you unlock parts by leveling up your in-game account, and the premium currency instead were used for cosmetics. It's quite a shame that you create a game, squeeze every penny out of the player base until the game dies. The good part here is that the game is free to play, so you can try it out and hopefully realize that it's not worth putting money into. As of recording this, the game has a player base of around 1,000, a bit more on a good day, and this is approximately 2 weeks after launch. Not a lot, but still something. The game also pads out the matchmaking with bots, at least in the beginning, so I didn't really have an issue finding matches. There were some disconnects, but nothing too crazy. I just hope players stop giving games like this money so we can get rid of them. If you have a good and interesting game and you want to have a free-to-play model, cosmetics is the way to go, and something I'm perfectly fine with. You have to make money somehow if you go free-to-play. But making the game pay-to-win will alienate a lot of people from the game. It's a shame because I think the game's foundation is really good. Like making a single-player game out of this wouldn't be that bad. But I think going for the cash grab of a free-to-play, pay-to-win, PvP-styled game is not a good option. And it's not a game I can recommend at all.